Welcome to Season 6, Episode 2 of The Bark. I'm Matthew Crane.
I'm Mark Surhoff, and welcome to the show.
We've got a lot of Butler men's and women's basketball to cover. What else happened this weekend?
We'll be picking out a few teams for you to keep your eye on, the AP Top 25, as well as men and women's Butler team, and we'll also take a look at the esports League of Legends team here at Butler. TJ, we'll go to you at Hinkle to look at the AP Top 25 teams.
Thanks, guys. Starting with men's basketball, there's a surprising amount of teams that are or aren't known from basketball conferences. The conference with an abundance of teams is the Big 12 this year, who's not really known for their basketball. Having 7 teams ranked, Kansas State, Arizona, Kansas, Texas, TCU, Iowa State, and Baylor being ranked 5, 6, 9, 11, 12, and 17 respectively. This conference makes up over 20% of the top 25. The ACC is the most surprising, usually having over 5 teams in the top 25 and almost having the big 3 of Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina. Only 3 teams are in the top 25 who are currently ranked, and only one of them is from the big 3, Virginia. And they are ranked number 7 currently, Virginia. Miami, who's currently ranked number 20, and Clemson, who's currently ranked number 24. North Carolina and Duke started as number 1 in a top 10 preseason, and then have fallen out of the rankings, which is very surprising due to the history of success from those programs. Going on to predictions, I think the top 5 ranked teams at the end of the season were going to be Iowa State at number 5, since they are doing well in and outside of conference play. Number 4 for me is one of the most surprising teams this year in Alabama. Their win over Houston when they were number 1 solidified them as the real deal. Their team is athletic and tall and can play all across the court well. Number 3 would be Purdue, with the dominant center Zach Edey leading the way and looks like a real contender for NCAA Player of the Year. Virginia comes in at number 2 since they finally got it together from last season, and their players are finally meshing in their defense-oriented system, which is one of the best in the NCAA. Finally, I have Houston at 1 since they are the most complete team for offense and defense, and their defense is the best in the NCAA. Going on to women's basketball, while I might not have as many surprises as men's, they definitely have a couple surprises in their rankings. Current holder of the throne of number 1 is South Carolina, who have held the title for years now. Also included in their rankings are LSU, Notre Dame, UConn, and Stanford, all high in the rankings. The biggest surprise this year, though, is Ohio State, who were ranked number 2 overall when last year they didn't even finish as part of the top 25. Going on to predictions, I do not think there will be much movement in the top 5. For ranked number 5 and ranked number 4, I believe it is a toss-up between LSU, UConn, and Iowa. All 3 programs have proven their worth in the present and past, and they will be fighting tooth and nail to try and get these ranks. And the team that gets snuffed out to rank 6 will still have a great chance at the postseason tournament. I think that ranks 1, 2, and 3 will be South Carolina, Ohio State, and Stanford. Those are subject to change for those 3 spots, but I believe those teams will be in the top 3. All right, that's all I had. Thanks, and back to you.
Thank you, TJ, for the talk about the AP Top 25 teams. It'll be very interesting to keep an eye on each of those teams for the rest of the season. Now on to Butler women's basketball. The Butler women's basketball team traveled to Connecticut to face off with the 5th-ranked UConn Huskies on Saturday. The Bulldogs got out to a quick start after 3 different players hit 3-pointers, and after the first quarter led 13-10 after holding the Huskies to 28% from the field. In the second quarter, the Huskies turned things around and led at halftime 36-19. The second half was all UConn as Butler struggled to score and could not get stops on the other end. Sydney Janes and Jessica Carruthers led the Dogs with 7 points each, but they ultimately fell 79-39. Butler's second game of the week was much closer. The team traveled to Queens, New York on Wednesday night as they took on the St. John's Red Storm. The Bulldogs fought hard and were down 19-15 after the first quarter and closed the gap in the second quarter and were down 32-30 at halftime. The Bulldogs matched the Red Storm in the third and fourth quarters but lost 67-65. The Dogs were led by Anna Mortag and Rachel McLemore, who scored 15 points with each knocking down multiple 3-pointers, and Sydney Janes added 12 points to round out the double-digit scores. Now out to Hinkle and Jaron for the Butler men's basketball report.
The Butler men's basketball team wrapped up a 2-game road trip last night, losing to 23rd-ranked Providence 79-59. The Bulldogs were also unable to get the job done on Sunday against 15th-ranked UConn, losing by a final score of 86-56, as Butler is now on a 3-game losing streak. After inspiring home win over Villanova, the Bulldogs have struggled from the field in their recent losing streak, shooting just 33% from the field against UConn and 38% against Providence. Jordan Hawkins led the Huskies with 20 points, while standout big man Adama Sanogo continued his stellar year with 17 points and 14 rebounds, while Butler was without starting center Manny Bates. Butler was led by junior Chuck Harris on Sunday, who had 16 points. The Dogs' struggles continued last night against Providence as just 2 players cracked double digits. Bates returned after a 3-game absence with 6 points in 19 minutes, but it did not provide enough of a lift as Butler lost their 3rd straight by 20+. The loss drops Butler to 11-11 overall and 3-8 in the Big East. They will return to action back in Hinkle this weekend in a rematch with Seton Hall on Sunday. The Pirates won the first game in New Jersey by a final score of 76-51. Now back to Mark to cover the NFL playoffs.
Thank you, Jaron, for that background on Butler men's basketball. Hopefully they can turn around towards the end of the season. Now, with the 2022 NFL divisional playoffs over, we can now get ready for the NFL, AFC, and NFC championship games coming up this weekend. With the Kansas City Chiefs topping the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20, the Philadelphia Eagles then blowing out the New York Giants 38-7, the Cincinnati Bengals taking down the Buffalo Bills 27-10, and the San Francisco 49ers holding off the Dallas Cowboys with a 19-12 win. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are off to their 5th straight conference championship, despite Mahomes being banged up with an ankle injury. Mahomes was 22 of 30 passing for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. Despite a lingering shoulder injury, quarterback Jalen Hurts returned to MVP form just in time for what Philly hopes is a long postseason run. He finished 16 for 24 for 154 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and also ran for another TD to lead the route. On the other hand, the Giants found out with the blowout loss at Lincoln Financial Field that they're not quite ready to compete for a Super Bowl. It wasn't ever close, but it still doesn't ruin what an overall promising first season for Coach Brian Daboll and General Manager Joe Shane had. On Sunday at Levi Stadium, the 49ers defense offered a resounding reminder of exactly what it represents, shutting down Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott and company on the way to the Niners' 3rd conference title game in 4 seasons. The Cowboys season ends it where it always ends, it seems, in the divisional round of the playoffs. Now that we're done there, let's head over to the Esports Park where we'll meet up with the League of Legends team here at Butler.
In October of last year, the Big East announced Butler would be hosting the conference tournament in their brand new facility. I caught up with the League of Legends team to see how they were preparing for the spring season.
I'd say our fall season was a little disappointing. We started off kind of tough in the beginning because we had a bunch of our hardest matches early scheduling-wise, but near the end we got a lot better and we grew a bunch over the year, so hopefully that transitions into the spring.
I think we were a better team than we ended up showing through our record. I think we're ready to prove that we're significantly better in this semester going forward.
Despite their disappointing fall season, where the team finished with a 3-5 record and 6th in the Big East, the team has been hard at work building for the spring season.
It's not just that you can really carry and perform throughout the whole game, but it's that you got to work through your team so that you can actually achieve the main goal. So I think co-working with teammates is really a key to success.
I think a lot of it is just preparing for what our opponents are going to do and also focusing on key details like making sure we know what we're focusing on for that individual game, whether it be a certain opponent, certain character that they're using, and also just being able to talk constantly with each other.
The team's current preparation all builds towards the final goal of finishing top 4 in the regular season standings. The accomplishment would mean competing in the Big East tournament as the hosts.
It's great. It's definitely one of the best things that could have happened for the first year this facility is open, to have the Big East Championship hosted here. And yeah, we're going to be excited to have everybody playing here in the same facility.
We're going to be a good team. We're going to be here, and it's going to be really cool to have that here on a college campus where we're going to be playing these people we've been playing online for the past 6 years. I think the club's been going. It's going to be really cool to have them here, trash talk them in between and after games. And it's just going to be so cool.
The official spring schedule has yet to be released, but you can follow Butler Esports on Twitter for updates or catch their matches live on Twitch. For Butler 360 Sports, I'm Ryan Grill.
Thanks, Ryan. Looks like the League of Legends team is off to a great spring semester. For everyone here at the Bark, we hope you enjoyed the show and thank you for watching.
Tune again next week. Thank you.